And joining us now is attorney and NewsNation legal contributor Jesse Weber. He's also the host of the Law and Crime Network. Jesse, always great to see you. So let's cut to the chase here. You've read their motion. Do you think Murdaugh will get a new trial?
Potentially, yes, if all of this is true. The first thing that has to happen is a court has to agree to hold an evidentiary hearing, and a hearing to determine what is the defense actually making the accusations here, how can they prove it, and if it is true, is it enough grounds to get a new trial? The main question you have to ask yourself if this is all true, was the clerk's behavior, whether it's criminal is going to be a separate question. What you have to ask is, did it change the jury's decision? If this didn't happen, would there have been a different verdict? That's the central question. And if you take everything that they have alleged is true, this seems ripe for a new trial for Alec Murdoch, because whether or not people have been following this, if you think he did it, if you don't think he did it, the truth is he is entitled to a fair trial like any other defendant. And if a clerk is actually persuading jurors about how they should vote and having these conversations, that is totally improper, and this shouldn't have happened.
So Murdaugh's attorneys say the clerk of the court, and Brian outlined this, betrayed her oath of office for money and fame. Do they have to prove that in order to get this new trial? And is the court required to look into those allegations?
It doesn't matter what the motive was behind it. If she had these conversations and the jurors are going to testify about these conversations and what impact it had in their decision-making process, the court could easily say that Alec Murdoch is entitled to a new trial. Now, what she allegedly did and whether or not that is criminal conduct, there are statutes on the book about not tampering with juries in any way, or is it obstruction of justice? That, I imagine, we might get a little bit more information into whether the U.S. attorney is going to have a say in this, whether local law enforcement is going to conduct an investigation. That's a separate question, and that is the liability of the clerk. Right now, it's all about whether or not her actions constituted, improper jury misconduct. And again, based on what I'm reading, if it's true, it's still an allegation. If it's true, I think he would get a new trial.
All right, understood. So earlier, NewsNation spoke to attorney Eric Bland, who, as you know, represents several people who have sued Alec Murdoch. Here's what he told Morning in America about the push for this new trial.
It's a roller coaster of emotions. Every time Alex comes out and acts like he is the victim, it re-victimizes all of the former clients of his. And for Sandy Smith, she just wants answers. She's just looking for someone to come forward and give an explanation of how Stephen died. The Satterfields, they want to just go off in peace. They've already forgiven Alex. They don't forget what he did to them, the religious people. But it's just constantly making everybody, including the people in Hampton County, South Carolina, have to open up their emotions and relive what Alex did to our state.
So we have about 30 seconds left, but he suggested this was all about Murdoch being able to do his time at a federal prison as opposed to a state facility. Do you agree?
Look, I get what he's saying. Nobody wants to have the conversation about Alec Murdoch again. And of course, it's going to re-traumatize people. But at the end of the day, this is about Alec Murdoch's rights to a fair trial. And I think that's the central question here, because if you're reading this allegation, if you're reading this motion, it's potential these jurors were on the fence and maybe would have found him not guilty if it wasn't for the clerk's comments and the clerk's conversations. And that's the problem here.
All right, Jesse Weber, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.